Right, that is my current PC. It's running an Intel Core i7 4790K, running at the standard clock speed of 4 GHz, so it's not been overclocked, and it's got two GTX 970s in SLI. Cable management is dire, but it's what I've best had to work with, admittedly. It's not brilliant, but hopefully you should be better at some point. I don't know. But that said, I am considering doing a major upgrade to my current PC setup. So instead of rebuilding this one, I want to build once again from scratch. Brand new system from the ground up, and essentially go from there. Because I don't think there's a lot I can do with this system now. I think this is at its peak for what it's capable of, but I want to get into 4K gaming a little bit more. And I don't think this will be capable enough to actually run 4K games. So I want to majorly upgrade to something new, fresh, and good for future-proofing, I guess. So recently Intel have released their the new Coffee Lake CPU. So this is the Core i7 8700K. It's got a hex core, I want to highlight it properly, a hex core CPU with hyper-threading technology, of course. So that's 6 cores, 12 threads, and it's the first mainstream CPU to run that many cores. So that's one thing I'm definitely considering doing, is getting the new Coffee Lake CPU, but obviously I run the risk of it being in severe constraint again, even though there's stock. But then I stumbled across a video from a user called Testing Games, so it's these guys here, and they ran a test between two different CPUs. One is, of course, the i7 8700K, but the other is the Ryzen 1800X. Now, I've been watching this for a little bit through the Project Cars 2 gameplay that they've been doing, but I've noticed a couple of things that were quite interesting. So that's, on the left is the i7, and as you can see there, this moment here, it's got 203 frames per second, and the CPU is being utilised 47% of the time, and the RAM is running on average at nearly 7 gig. Lost my words there. But on the right is the Ryzen 7 1800X. There's a slight difference. The CPU is being utilised 24% of the time there, 44 there, 24 there. I mean, yeah, the frame rate is considerably less. In fact, I'm going to play this. I hope you don't, Testing Games, I hope you don't mind me playing this, but I just want to see the CPU test in action. So you can see there how much the CPU is actually being used here, but you get quite a good frame rate. But you get good frame rates from the AMD CPU as well. So, but look at the CPU usage. It barely even touches, or barely even touched their 30%. So obviously with Battlefield 1, which is a very, very, very graphically intense game, again, here's the differences. CPU usage 40%, that's barely touching 30%, but look at the frame rate difference. In fact, if I pause it here, 26 frames, well, 126 frames per second, 137 frames per second. So from what I can gather from this, Intel you get a higher frame rate, but only just. AMD you get lower frame rates, but it uses far less CPU usage. So I was having a look at the Ryzen CPU, of course. This is the 1800X, so it's got 8 cores and 16 threads compared to Intel's 6 cores and 12 threads. But the main difference from what I've seen through other videos from Jay's 2 Cents, Linus Tech Tips, Bitwit, I think, has Bitwit done videos on this? I can't really remember. But OC3D has also done videos on this, and they're very, very, very in-depth. I highly recommend you watch them if you're really into this sort of stuff. The main difference is overclocking potential. With Intel, this one, I could very easily hit 5 GHz with a manual overclock. Very, very, very easily with this, and it will run super stable. Whereas with AMD Ryzen, I'll be lucky if I can get to that speed, which is that's actually the turbo clock, The standard clock speed is 3.6 gigahertz, I believe. But I'll be lucky if I can hit 4 gigahertz standard overclock, like manual overclock rather. But this is the debate I want to go with. Because I want next year to be a little bit of a theme in general. Next year I want it to be something that I like to call a touch of the familiar, where it's things that I've once had before, only much more improved. And I once had an AMD based CPU build. Like my first ever build was AMD. So do I go with AMD, considering how much it's actually improved over the years, even though overclocking potential is very slim with this, or do I go and stick with Intel and overclock the hell out of this to get potential 4K resolutions, depending on what GPU I go with? More than likely, I'll probably go with a GTX 1080 Ti or something very similar to that on AMD's side of things. But that's the debate. Do I go with Intel for overclocking potential, or do I go with Ryzen for more cores but less CPU usage? I guess let me know in the comments below. I've probably rambled on for too long in this video anyway. I think I'm going to need more coffee because I'm literally drifting off to sleep already, even though it's nearly 25 past 11 in the morning. I'm on a week off anyway. I need more coffee. I'll see you later. Bye.